All right, welcome back to Trimble Garage. So today I'm going to be carrying on with the 2022 Mach 1 Mustang, getting it ready for the racetrack. Unlike the last video, this is going to be a happy video, and I got a lot of work to do on this thing to get it ready for Pacific Raceways. Yes, in 1 week from today, I will be taking this thing on the racetrack and putting it through the paces. At the end of the video, I'm going to go through what I've learned from this car, what I like and what I don't like. I mean, there isn't really much I don't like about this car, but there is one thing that I do not like about this car. It's a small thing, but I'm going to reveal what that is. And yeah, doing a comparison between that and my 2015 Mustang. So I got a lot of work to do, show you guys what I want to do here. Part of the thing I'm going to be doing is actually I've got to strip the interior out of this car minus the driver's seat because I'm getting all the windows tinted tomorrow. And to make it easier for the installer and to not have them crawl all over the place, I'm going to pull these seats and everything right out of it, minus the driver's seat, because obviously I've got to drive it there. But the biggest thing is getting the carpet off the back dash. It's really difficult. They actually will do that, and it's going to save me a few bucks actually to get it done. So let's just get right into this and show you what I'm going to be doing here. All right, let's talk brakes. Very important on a racetrack. Now, while the brakes on the Mach 1, everything that I've read and that I have felt is very good. One thing you do not want to have is boiling brakes. So what I will be doing is flushing all the brake lines out with some Modal RBF 600 brake fluid. I've used this on my 2015 Mustang, and not one time did I have brake fade. Pacific Raceways is a pretty aggressive braking track. There's some very high speed deceleration zones going from 140, 150 miles an hour down into about a 70-mile-an-hour corner. Also, a very steep hill going down into a hairpin. So I do not want to boil brakes. So that's what I'll be doing, is flushing the brake lines. Another thing to consider is driver comfort. And for me, the Recaro seats they're awesome. I had them in my 2015 Mustang. They're really good. But what really helps is to utilize these slots here in the seat and put a set of racing harnesses in. So I've got a set of Scroff racing harnesses. It's a 4-point harness. I took these out of my 2015 Mustang, and I'll be installing those in this thing so that when you're strapped in tight, you don't have to use your arms to hold yourself in at all. It reduces driver fatigue. It's way more comfortable for the passenger to be going in the car, ripping through those corners and pulling those G's. So yeah, we'll be putting those in. Another thing I've got to do is this racing splitter. The previous owner that I bought it from never did rivet it on, so I've got a rivet gun. I got to rivet this thing together properly so that the high speeds don't rip it off. All right, and the last thing I'm going to do to get this ready for the racetrack is install a tow hook. So what I've done is I've picked up a tow hook from ZL1, and it's the bright orange to match the orange accents on the car. Looks really good, and there's nothing worse than breaking down on a racetrack, but worse than that is nowhere for the tow truck or the recovery vehicle to tow you. And these Mach 1s really don't have anywhere to hook onto it if you break down. So this is going to save you and make your life a little bit less miserable. So that's everything I'm going to be doing to get this thing ready. So I got a lot of work, going to get right into it. It's going to take me a few days to get this done. I've got some other things going on that's going to get in the way. But the first thing I got to do is get this interior stripped out so I can get those windows tinted. So let's get into it. So in order to hook up my harness, I need to remove this rear panel and tie into the factory child anchor points. I'm hoping they're still in the car. They should be, because I'm sure that all these chassis are made the same, and there should be some threaded holes where the child anchors would go into. But yeah, we'll pull this panel out, pull that rear panel off for the tinting, and also pull this passenger seat up, because in order to hook this harness on, I've got to remove the seat. It's a bit of a pain, but let's get to it. So removing the seats is fairly self-explanatory. Get yourself a little plastic removal tool, pop this cover off each side, all four corners actually, and you'll find your Torx bit. I believe that is a T50. So I'll pop those out, disconnect the wires underneath, and pull the seat out. Yeah, so these are not a T50, they are a T55, so there you go. With the seat out, obviously it gives you a good opportunity to do a great vacuum. It's easy to get in and out for doing the window tinting. But one thing I noticed, which just blows me away, is for a manual Recaro seat, look at the wires in this thing. That's insane. What the hell could possibly require all those wires? Anyway, let's get to the back cover. All right, the rear cover is pretty self-explanatory. It's held on with 3 Torx bits. And it looks like it's just going to slide out. Oh, I think I'll have to move my driver's seat here. All right, with that cover out, the child anchors, I'm sure hoping there's threaded holes behind here. Oh, let's hope there is. Because if there isn't, I got a problem. Oh, there's plastic, there's rubber pieces over top of where the holes would be, the bolts would go. Let's hope there's threads behind this. Please be threads. Oh yeah, there's threads. That's good. I figured there probably had to be. These chassis are all going to be the same. So there you go. I'll pull these little plastic pieces of tape off here, and now I got places to anchor my my harness onto. So that's awesome. Now to remove this back dash, you have to remove these plastic quarter panels, because anyway, these just snap. There's a seam here, so this lower piece all comes off. And in order to get those off, you have to remove your sill plate, because there's these sill plates go over top of this. These just simply grab in behind and just lift them up and they pop out. All right, I got the camera set up so you can watch me do this side here. So again, to take the sill plate off here, you just lift up on it. It'll just pop right up, just like that. Now for this part, what you do is you pull this plastic rubber piece back, pull this panel towards the outside of the car, and then pull it forward. There's a little hook you can undo. And then it's just a matter of pushing these, just grabbing them, pulling them forward. They'll just pop. Come on. Get my fat butt in here. Come on, there we go. It's a little easier with the seat out, but I gotta drive this tomorrow. So with both these sides off, what you do is you expose the push pins that are holding this back panel on. So all you gotta do is pull, I believe, just pull those two pins and the whole panel will slide this way. There we go, that panel's out. And now you can see it's got this interesting stuff on the back dash. I don't know what that is. I think it might be a GPS thing, but I'm not sure. And there's your speakers. But this is the point now where my tint guy can easily put this all in the tint. I can now install my harness. So yeah, that's about as far as I needed to go today. Maybe I'll go put that tow hook in. All right, so for the tow hook, this is a left-hand thread. What I did was pop the cover off, screwed this in, and then measured where this is centered to the hole, and it is not centered to the hole. It might look like it, but it's not. Because what I'm going to do is drilling a hole through here, and this is going to be permanently sticking through. So I've marked where the center of that is, and now I basically got to drill a hole the size of this, which looks to be 5/8, but I'll measure it. All right, it's a 3/4 inch hole. Let's go. Should just not quite fit. No, that's good. Last hole here. There you go. Hope it's right. Oh, not quite big enough. It's a little tight. I have to open it up with a. I don't want to open up with a file, but yeah, it's just a little tight. All right, we'll figure a way to open this up. All right, I took my Dremel tool and just very, very lightly went around that hole. It took very little to make it go in. But now let's see if this is going to line up. I think I'd take a little bit out this bottom edge here. It's binding and it's making that not sit nice. That's like perfect, man. All right, I'm going to take this out, tighten it up, put that back over top of it. All right, we got that on there. there you have it. Tow hooks installed. All right, just got back from the tint shop, and as you can see, the windows are now tinted. The side windows are a little lighter than the back ones, although it doesn't really look like it from here, but they are. And I also got them to make me up some decals for the track in the sort of the Mach 1 font. So I'll stick those on the doors. The outer yellow part, that part doesn't, it's just the black circle with the orange lettering. So that'll be nice to put those on. Yeah, so let's see what we're gonna do next. I was wrong, I wasn't wearing my glasses. These holes are not threaded, so I'm gonna have to tap these holes out. I'm surprised they didn't tap them in the assembly line. So obviously they knew, they didn't bother wasting the effort of drilling and tapping those, or tapping those holes when they know it's a rear seat delete. It's interesting. Anyway, I'm going to go get a 10 by 1.5 tap and tap those out and go from there. All right, so I got those tapped, vacuumed the shavings out, and I've got some, basically some studs that I just, bolts I cut the heads off of, screwed those in. I'm hoping that this seat is going to come down into, I know that does have a bit of a bucket. I'm hoping it's going to come up against that so I can have an imprint. I'm actually just going to push the seat against it, not use any paint. I think I can just push on it, maybe tap it with a bit of a mallet right on the stud and make an imprint. So we're going to give that a go. All right, as I kind of thought would happen, I'm in the trunk looking at where those studs or screws are, and they are well behind the seat cover, or the rear seat delete. So what I'm going to do is actually cut a slot in line with where the belt will slide through, and I'll actually be able to tighten the bolt up from in behind. So that'll actually work okay, but it's going to be a little bit of screwing around, so that's the next thing I'm going to do. All right, so what I've done is basically measured from down here the center line of each bolt, and just made a line up here. And I also measured basically about a 1/4 inch above where this bracket here goes, and that's where I'm going to make my slice for my belt. So I'm going to be slicing all these little slots here for them, and then I'll be fishing these through. So the only part that you'll see in the back here will be basically kind of that just hanging through. So let's see if it works. Okay, so that actually took quite a long time to get those fitted in there, but all the straps are in. I'll show you the other side here, what it looks like. Just these things coming through. So I'm gonna slide this in and see if I can hook these clips onto the bolts. Okay, so to put the harness on the seat, you basically fish each side through the openings in the headrest, and then one side will basically bolt to the factory seatbelt location, and the other side will bolt to the seatbelt location in the car. So it's a bit of a pain, these, but they're still very nice. So anyway, I'm just going to bolt that on there and put this seat back into the car. All right, to install these panels, there is a small modification you need to do, and that's cut a little slot right where the seatbelt comes out of the side of the car. You got to do that. All right, looking down inside the back seat here, along the where the seatbelt anchor is, you can see I unbolted this and threw my harness. Get in here, there we go. Just in behind the seatbelt anchor. So that's where you're going to put that. Now let's install this side panel. All right, there you go. That's the install. See if I can get some light on here. You can see, where are we here? There. You can see how that just slides through that that bracket. It's tight, but it works. And of course the trim's all installed. So now I'll put the harness on the other seat and get that other panel in. All right, so there you have it. I got a light on so you can see a little better, but that's what the back of the car is going to look like with the harnesses all hooked up. So that is it. They are in. It's a big step. I'll show you what it looks like from the back. In here, all you see is just where those anchors are. The next thing I got to do actually is this piece here. I've got to trim it in a few spots here so it'll slide over top of those and go into place. So that's the last thing I got to do is just trim up that that interior part, and she's done. All right, so the one more thing I got to do with these seat belts is disable the factory chime, seatbelt chime, because when you're on the racetrack, you're not going to be using your factory seatbelts, and the thing will be dinging like crazy the whole time you're out there. So you've got to turn those off. It's quite an ordeal. Not really an ordeal, but it's a bit of a procedure to go through. I'm not going to do it on camera, but it's something that you're going to want to do. Also on the Mach 1, maybe on the newer Mustangs, because mine's not like this, you have to do the same procedure for each seat. So the passenger seat and the driver's seat, you're going to have to do the same procedure for both independently. In my 2015 Mustang, you could do the procedure once and it did both seat belts. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the manual. It's on page 45 of your owner's manual, and disable these factory seatbelt reminders. All right, so with all that work done, I didn't get everything I wanted to get done for this video, but I'm going to put this video out and get right into finishing this thing for the track, do a part 2 basically. But before I go, I wanted to go over some of the things that differences between the 15 and this one, and a bit of an update where I'm at with this thing. So let's start with the shifter. Right now, the shifter, it was in my first video, I said it was quite tight getting into third gear, and just its transmission seemed very tight. Anyway, it's definitely loosened up. I've got 1,400, a little over 1,400 kilometers on it right now. The transmission has loosened up. It goes into gear a lot easier. Sometimes reverse is a bit finicky, but you just got to let the clutch in and out, maybe let the car roll. Reverse is a little bit tight still, but definitely the transmission is breaking in. Turning radius. The turning radius right away I noticed on this thing is far less than it's a far bigger turning radius than my 2015 Mustang. I don't know if it's, well, I'm sure it's because of the large wheels on the front of this thing, the 305s. I don't know if the regular Mach 1s have got the same issue. Maybe you guys can put something in the comments on that. But yeah, definitely the turning radius is a lot larger on this thing. Road noise. There's a lot more road noise with this thing than my 2015 Mustang. I think that's from the larger tires, the wider tires, and as well, this has got the rear seat delete option. So all you have is just a very thin panel there just to sort of decoratively cover the back trunk area. So I think that doesn't have a lot of insulating properties. Oh yeah, the dead pedal. Now, one thing I noticed with this is when I put my foot on the dead pedal and I go to come up and put my foot under the clutch, it tends to catch under the clutch. And I got wide feet, but so I went under there today and had a look at it, and it is a different clutch pedal lever, if you will, than my 2015. Now, the 2015 Mustang was notorious for the clutch pedal assembly breaking. The welds were cracking. They were quite flimsy. This one's definitely way more beefy, but it does get in behind. I find I can catch my foot sometimes when I'm working, when I got my foot on that dead pedal and I come up to push the clutch. So just a bit different. So the wheels, the bird nest wheels, as they're sometimes called, on the handling package, while they do look amazing, I love the wheels. They're a bit of a pain to clean, just like my performance package wheels on my 2015 Mustang. They're a pain in the butt to clean. These ones got some corners in them and whatnot. They're a bit of a pain. So, but hey, you know what? That's the price you pay for having, I think, some of the best wheels on the market. Let's get into the last thing. It's something that I do not like about this car, and I've got it in my pocket, and it is the key fob. This key fob is huge. I don't know why Ford made such a big key fob. My 2015 key fob is much smaller, fits in your pocket, does the same things. I don't know why Ford went and put such a large key fob on this thing, because it's almost like having a cell phone in your pocket. Bit of a pain, but other than that, I'm absolutely loving the car, and I just can't wait to get out to the track next week. So yeah, I'm going to end this video here and carry on part 2, I guess you could say, with getting this thing track prepared. So the last things I've got to do is the brake flush. I got to find out how to adjust these struts. And I think that's about it. Everything else, we got the tow hook on. We should be good to go. I got my door stickers ready to put on. Oil change. That's the last thing I also got to do is an oil change, because I will be hitting my 1,600 kilometers and open this thing up before I go to the track. So anyway, Thanks a lot for watching. Thoughts and comments down below. Think about subscribing, and hopefully you guys will follow me when I head down to Seattle and run this thing on the track and see how much fun this car is. I'm expecting a lot from it, and I think it's going to deliver. So yeah, thanks a lot, and have yourself a great day.